Hi, welcome to my podcast, Real Conversations with Patty, where I bring on special guests that I admire because of their perseverance and dedication to break barriers and show every little girl and boy que si se puede. I have the honor to introduce my first guest who's done exactly that, Nancy Preciado. Hello.
Oh, hello. Thank you. What a nice introduction.
No problem. Es lo menos que puedo hacer because you let me interview you. Y eres la primera, and I really appreciate it because I feel like a lot of people que son como yo, mexicanas, we don't really see the struggle behind everything. So, tú dándome la oportunidad de hacerte preguntas, it's just really special to me. So, I really, really appreciate it.
Ay, bueno, es un placer, en verdad.
Mhm.
Yo te comprendo porque yo estuve también en tus zapatos,
Mhm.
así que es tan difícil a veces poder agarrar una entrevista, and especially if they're not willing to do it, or they're just like, well, who are you? Like, why should I talk to you? And
Yeah.
it's just like it sucks in the beginning when you can't get those interviews that
Mhm.
you really want or you're looking for, and I feel like sometimes you really have to be humble because
Sí.
you just never know where life can be. You're probably the next Oprah, and then I'll be like, "Dude, she, interviewed me. How awesome is that?" So,
Yeah.
hey, you never know. So you always have to be very open and always keep your feet grounded and just
Sí.
stay humble.
Eso es lo que dice mi mamá, siempre poner los pies sobre la tierra, no
Exacto.
sentirnos mejor que otros nada más porque tenemos una educación, al contrario, porque tenemos la educación, ayudar a los demás.
Así es.
The first question I want to ask you is, what was your childhood like? Yo te veía en la televisión and you're always so positive, energetic y atraes eso, like we're just like really happy como nos esperamos que estés ahí en la televisión, que te extrañamos mucho. How was your childhood like?
Bueno, my childhood life, it was a struggle in the beginning because my mom was always working. My dad would work
Mhm.
as well, but my dad suffered with a mental illness. So
Oh,
I had to deal with so many things growing up. I remember being 8 or 9 years old, helping my mom put my dad into a hospital because he was struggling a lot. So I would fill out paperwork for her. I would go with her to, the doctor and do all these documents that some words that I'm like, what is this?
yeah.
But I learned through the whole process, and I had to grow up really fast. Having the parents that I did, which were migrants, my parents were migrants, so they came here in 1975 and they worked their butts off to try to buy their first home in LA, which was a huge logro. And I'm so proud of them because I know that they worked so hard to get what they wanted for us and their daughters. So it was rough, but then at the same time, it was nice because I saw how hard they worked
Mhm.
and I didn't take anything for granted. And
Yeah.
so my mom was a very church woman. So she always took me to church
Mhm.
and she always taught me the meaning of prayer and to always be good and be positive and never be negative, because once negative hits you, okay, you just fall into depression and you go through so much. So I would say, my childhood had a lot of roller coaster
Yeah.
rides, but at the same time, I learned a lot and it helped me a lot to become the woman I am now. I felt like my parents did what they could and I appreciate that. And I love them with all my heart, and I wouldn't change it for anything else because I feel like this is where God wanted me to be. And I'm very proud of being Mexican American. I'm super proud. And that's why I wanted to be on the news because of that reason, because I wanted to show my parents that their hard work didn't go in vain.
Valió todo el sacrificio.
Así es.
Te comprendo mucho. I didn't know much of your personal life, but yo también, mi papá se puso malo y con lo que dices de que tener fe y ir a misa y rezar, es verdad. Mi papá milagrosamente sobrevivió un mini stroke. No pensábamos que iba a sobrevivir, pero el rezar, it's powerful, very
Eso
powerful.
sí,
Yeah,
prayer, en verdad las oraciones son tan importantes y son like it's something that you just can't imagine. I know a lot of people who are not believers who don't believe, or
yeah.
they think like, oh, it's just your luck. I really believe in the power of prayer. I feel like everything, I swear to God, everything I prayed for, He has given me. And I am so happy that I've gotten all those opportunities that I've prayed for. That's something that you can't buy. Prayer is so easy. It's something that you could literally do anywhere, in your car, when you're at the store, when you're at work, when you're at home, wherever. I mean, you could just say it silently, you could say it out loud, however you want to say it. A lot of people have a different way of talking to God. And I feel like my way is always when I'm driving home from work, or when I'm somewhere and I'm stressing out, I just close my eyes and I just start doing it right there.
I feel it when I pray. Yo me siento más relajada, más being like I could do this. Who would you say your role model or someone you look up to is?
My mom has been my biggest inspiration. Mi mamá en verdad es una luchadora. She is a warrior. I've seen her go through so many situations that I feel like I would break down, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I don't know how you did it." She's such a strong woman, and although she didn't go to college, she didn't even go to high school because she had to start working super young when she was little. She still managed to persevere, and between her and my dad working so hard, they were able to buy a home in LA, and not a lot of people could say that.
They're
And
expensive over there.
it is, and I mean, that's why when I look at how life is now, and, I see everything now as a grown up, thinking, wow, my mom had to do it with 3 girls, and then my dad going through his struggle and everything. So I was just like, how does she do it without breaking down, And she would always tell me prayer, as I prayed and I went to church and I believed and I believed and I believed. So her lessons really helped me along the way, and how I was able to cope through hard situations and difficult times. So she is my hero for sure.
I know. Yo también soy como, how do moms do it? I don't know.
I think we have to have kids in order to see how
Right,
they do it,
understand.
right?
What was your dream as a child?
You know what? Ever since I was little, I always like to talk a lot. Like, I just love to talk. Y mi papá le encantaba ver las noticias. So I would always sit down with him. Every
Mm.
time we would always watch Primer Impacto, Primer Impacto, and he was just like, vamos a ver Primer Impacto. So I would always sit next to him and I would always watch the news with him. And I would love the sports reporter, Rosana Franco, because she was always so hyper and so energetic and so cool. Like, she was like, "¿Cómo están?" And like, she was always so happy. And I was like, man, she's so cool. Like, I want to be like her. She has such a good personality. She's so heartwarming and she's professional, but yet she's fun. I would tell my dad, Papá, uno de estos días voy a ser una reportera cuando yo sea grande, voy a ser una reportera de deportes.
Oh,
And my dad would always be like, ay, estás loca. ¿Por qué no te haces una maestra? Va a ser más fácil para ti. Y yo le dije, no, pues sí me gusta trabajar con niños porque es muy divertido
mm,
saber que estás haciendo una gran diferencia, ¿no? En los niños, pero también los deportes fue algo que me llamaba más la atención en ese sentido. I just love sports. I've always been such a tomboy, and
mm.
I like to play any sports because that was just what I love to do. When I knew that I could make it a career and actually talk about sports and all that good stuff, I felt like, you know what? I'm going to do that. And luckily, the opportunity ended up showing up when I started in Telemundo Bakersfield, but that was literally my goal, to be a sports reporter. And I ended up doing that. And I feel super happy that I got the opportunity to do that. And I had many great experiences with Telemundo,
Yes.
and working there since I was 19, not in Bakersfield, but in Fresno. And so that was pretty fun too. And I learned so much, and I'm just very grateful.
It was really cool. Ahí te aparecías, and I would be like, if you're like my best friend, oh my gosh, ahí está Nancy, ahí está Nancy.
Uh,
I remember from Fresno State, I don't think I seen you, but I would hear about you, and I'm like, oh my gosh, como si ya nos conocíamos desde cuánto. And my friends were, ya fue a Fresno, digo, sí, ahí está, y mira dónde está en la tele.
Sí, es como, en verdad que es un gran logro cuando dices, wow, like, miras todo lo que tuviste que pasar para llegar a esa etapa. Is
Mm.
very, it's like you feel like, I did it, I made it. It feels good. It makes you feel super proud of yourself because you're like, I did it and I said I was going to do it and I did it. That's the most important thing, to never give up, because there's always going to be people that are going to tell you you're not good enough, or you don't look the part, or you don't speak well, or whatever negativity things that they want to bring into your life, avoid them. Avoid those people that always try to put you down. Avoid the people that are not with you for the right reasons, because at the end of the day, the only person that could prove that you can't is yourself. Because trust me, I had many people that would tell me, ay, no, tu español no está bueno, o no lo hablas bien, o no te expresas bien, o la gente no te va a comprender cuando estás hablando, ¿me entiendes? O la gente no le va a interesar lo que estás diciendo. Y a veces me decían, oh, pues quizás la gente no les va a gustar cómo dices ciertas cosas, o las frases, o cómo te expresas, o cómo eres. Y si hubiera dejado que todo eso me afectara, entonces no, nunca lo hubiera hecho, ¿me entiendes? So it's always very good to believe in yourself and believe that you can do it. And if you really want to do it, you need to do it. And you need to just buckle up and just, take a deep breath, and just be like, oh, I got this,
Mhm.
and bring that confidence out and let yourself shine.
Talking about echándole ganas, not giving up. I want to know. Well, I don't know specifically if this is towards you or was it as a like the Telemundo, like everyone else. But I know that you were nominated of an Emmy in 2019. Was that just you or was it like everyone now? I
No,
don't.
that was just me.
Where were you when you got the news that you were nominated?
I was in my room in my mom's house. I was in my mom's house in my room. It was one of those stories that felt like I had to try to see if it could be nominated. And I said, you know what? I'm going to try it out and see what happens. I remember my friend told me, hey, they're going to announce who's
No.
nominated. Do you want to come? And I was like, no. After work, I just went home. I was with my mom and estábamos comiendo. I was laying down in my bed watching movies on Netflix. And then all of a sudden, I get a text message like boom, 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 boom. All these messages started coming in. I was like, what's happening? And one of my news directors was like, Nancy, you got nominated for your story. And I was like, what? And I was like, are you serious? And they're like, yeah. And then they sent me a screenshot. And I was like, no way. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was jumping. I was so excited and so happy. And they're like, they're going to give you your certificate for your nomination for your story. And I was like, wow, that's so cool.
That's very inspiring. Like I said, like I feel like I know you since a long time ago. You went to Fresno State. Eres muy todo dar. Even though it wasn't easy to be nominated, it just feels like si tú lo pudiste, nosotros también lo podemos hacer. It just takes hard
Amen.
work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. You don't even know how hard it was. When I first started in Telemundo,
Mhm.
they didn't want me there. They were like, no, no habla bien el español. No se expresa bien. No lo escribe bien. It was a struggle. But you know what? I did not let that stop me. And I worked and worked until I got better and I got better and I got better and I got better. And luckily I got better. Then they started seeing how much work I was putting into my stories, how much dedication I put into all my work, my editing skills, my voice, the way I express myself was better and it was good and it was to their liking. And then it got to a point where I was just like, okay, this is one of my babies. This is my story that I feel like it goes somewhere. And luckily it got recognized. And that to me was so important because it verified to me what all those put downs or all those hard moments that you passed,
Mhm.
all those tears that you had to shed, it was all worth it because you worked your ass off. You worked really hard to get where you're at, and you're able to get nominated for a huge award. And this is big. It was one of those moments that I thought about all those young Mexican American girls that we try so hard to fit into our own culture, to be Mexican, to be more Latina, to be better at speaking Spanish, to be better at writing in Spanish, to be better at just trying to be that perfect person. And I feel like we always strive for perfection, and sometimes, when you try so hard, it's like you're like, I hope I could get it, in one of these moments. And luckily it finally happened. And I felt like this nomination, I felt like, it was a dedication to not only myself, but to other women like me that struggle with that and always wants to persevere. And sometimes it's hard because you have people pushing you down at times, but you just got to keep moving.
Sí, es cierto. And especially our parents they came here, but they don't know, like, the ropes, like how to get here to here. Like, we need to navigate ourselves. Y no sabemos si eso es correcto, pero más le echamos ganas. We just want to do better.
Sí, porque mucha gente no sabe, pero, o sea, I was like 2019 when I started with Telemundo, and I literally started off picking up tables and helping them with events. It didn't just happen and I just came on TV like I just graduated college and I got on TV. No, I started from the bottom and I worked myself up. And it's not like, oh, yeah, le dieron trabajo porque es Nancy Preciado de Fresno State. No, no, o sea, no sucedió así. Fue de mucho trabajo y esfuerzo y gracias a muchas personas que me apoyaron, como Vanessa Ramírez. Ella trabajó en Univisión y después trabajó en Telemundo Fresno. Vanessa Ramírez es una mujer que en verdad la adoro, la quiero, es como mi mentor,
Mm,
porque gracias a ella yo pude lograr tener una oportunidad también en Telemundo Bakersfield para tener esa posición y poder ejercerme allí, pero, o
mhm.
sea, no es fácil, no es fácil y en verdad que sí tienes que tener mucha paciencia y también perseverancia.
That's very true. Based on your journey, you started working at Telemundo in 2016 as a bilingual reporter, anchor, and producer. Y luego te fuiste to work at Cordial USA as a trade marketing coordinator, West. Y ahora ya trabajas en Feeding America and Riverside as a communication coordinator. I want to know what made you change jobs because I feel like they're different, right? They're like,
Oh, yeah.
really? Because for me, I was like, ooh, ya la hizo, ya. She's right there in TV, toda la cosa.
Sometimes in life, you have to make changes and you have to get out of your comfort zone. I had gotten engaged. I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm comfortable in this job, but I need to make enough money to be able to afford a house because that was my goal. I was like, I was already turning 30 and I was like, I don't have a house. I
Pressure,
felt like I
no?
needed to make a certain amount of money at a certain time and I said, you know what? I have to look elsewhere. And so I ended up finding a position in this company que se llama Cordialsa USA. It's from Colombia and it's the fourth largest food distributor in the USA. I was able to learn a lot, grow a lot there. Was never in the food industry my whole life and I was able to learn so much there and see things and grow. But at the end of the day, I felt like, you know what, this is really not where I need to be. You try so hard to fit in and you really work yourself to the bone to try to please others. And at the same time, you're like, I'm not happy or I'm not pleasing myself. And you get to a point where you're like, I need to find something that's gonna make me happy and I'm gonna feel more fulfilled professionally. I got the opportunity to work at Feeding America because I used to do 2 events a year with them when I
Okay.
used to work at Cordialsa, and I got to know the staff, I got to know who they are, their
Mhm.
mission, and everything, and that they really inspired me, and I loved what they were doing, and I said, "You know what? That would be so cool to work for a nonprofit and do something that I know is making a difference in someone else's life," and being able to still do what I love, which is, to write and to do stories because I handle their newspaper, I handle their press releases, and I take photography, I take pictures every time we have donations, I write about them, I do little reels for their social media platform. It's one of those jobs that is really nice. Felt like, you know what, this is where I need to be. I got a little highlight of what the news was like, and that was super fun.
Yeah.
But I felt like I needed to push myself to get out more and do something different
Mhm.
because I felt like I could do so much more. I was like, "Okay, what else can I do? Like, I love what I do here, but I didn't see a future anymore in Bakersfield." And I said, I need to find somewhere else, and sometimes you have to make those decisions for yourself in order to progress. Maybe you're going to bump your head. I bumped my head and fell so many times, and I managed to get up and be where I'm at now. And I'm very happy about that. I know a lot of people were pretty shocked
Yeah.
and they were sad, and trust me, I was sad too. I cried. I think it was super hard for me because I've met so many people, I've built so many great relationships, and it was so hard. I knew that in order for me to grow, I had to leave. And so I kind of pushed myself to get out there. And luckily, I've been learning in every position that I'm at. And luckily, I've been able to get that great experience, that work life experience, and that life experience that I feel like I wouldn't change it for anything. I do believe that everything happens for a reason. And if God wants me to go back to being a news reporter someday again, and I will. For the meantime, I think I
Mhm.
feel good right now. And who knows, maybe in the future I'll be back. Who knows? But we'll see what happens.
Sí nos sorprendiste cuando te nos fuiste. But I'm glad that you're
Mm.
happy and that you're doing what you want to do. Que lo más importante. What would you say are some challenges and benefits of each of them?
Well, you know what? When I graduated Fresno State, I was the marketing promotions director for Telemundo Fresno. And I started there when I was 23, 24 years old. And I was doing that job. So I did marketing before. So I knew the ropes, the in and outs. That's why I got into marketing again. So my first job was marketing. I did marketing for Farmers Insurance when I was in college, but after that, I did marketing for Telemundo Fresno, and I did marketing for Telemundo SAC for a little bit when they didn't have someone there because a person had left. So I was bouncing from Sacramento and Fresno and doing marketing for both. And then after that, I said, you know what? I need to go what I really wanted to go for, which was news. So I ended up finding an opportunity in Bakersfield. That's when I hop over there. And I said, okay, I need to do it now or else I'm going to get older and it's never going to happen. I was able to get the opportunity there and learn a lot. Like I said, every job is going to be a struggle. But if you don't really put any hard work into it, it's never going to get better. If you don't put 100% in or more than 100%, then you're not going to ever be good at it. So you always have to strive more and just try your best and listen. I think listening and being patient are the key things in order to be successful, because sometimes, when older people tell you pon atención, pay attention, sometimes we're so caught up trying to do everything, but we don't really analyze everything. So I feel like every position that I've had has been a great learning experience for me, and luckily I've been able to grow a lot, not only professionally, but personally as well, and learn how to manage certain people with different personalities that are probably not as bubbly and fun as mine, or maybe they're more serious, or some people are more stronger character, they have a stronger character. So you have to be a certain way. You learn a lot. I feel like every job could be a struggle, but at the end of the day, you're the one that could manage how you're gonna go about that situation and how you're gonna be resilient at the end.
To end this interview, I'm going to ask you some bonus questions. What advice would you give your younger self on achieving your dreams?
Ay,
Well,
ay, ay. Well, I would I would tell that young Nancy to always be strong and to continue to fight for what she wants, and always to be positive and patient. That's for sure. Because I think it's super important to always fight for what you want and what you believe in.
what advice would you give to girls and boys watching this?
Well, I just want them to learn to be strong and to never give up, because life could be so ugly, and people could be so mean and so cruel, but at the same time you have to always remember who you are and where you want to be. You can't let others affect where you want to be and who you want to be, because you are the person that's going to determine your own destiny.
What would you want people to take with them from this conversation?
I would say be themselves. Always be yourself. Never be ashamed of who you are. Always be you. Sometimes we change who we are because we want to please others, or we want to fit in with certain people. And it's always super important to remember who you are, what you want. Never lose sight of that. Always be grounded.
I agree with that too. Being yourself is the best thing because no one is like you.
No one. So you always have to be, if you're super smart at math, embrace it. Do something with math. If you're super good at drawing, or if you're a great public speaker, do it.
Pues this concludes our interview. Thank you so much, Nancy, for taking your time and meeting with me. It really means a lot, and I know that this conversation will help many other people, just like us, continue on fighting and making their dreams come true. Porque si se puede. I feel like everyone can do it. Necesitamos echarle ganas. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening to this podcast, and I'll see you on the next one.